What an awesome week. Oh, what an awesome week. I spent this week in the Ozark and a place near Branson, Missouri, at a camp called KAA, a summer camp for kids across America. And this camp is held every year for inner city children. I tell you, the children had a blast. I mean, they had a blast, but not just them. I had a blast as well. You talk about ministry. You're talking about going into the byways and the highways. Wow. How about the Ozark? I mean, over 100 children gave their life to Jesus Christ, and some rededicated their life to Jesus Christ as well. What a blessing we had. We're talking about children who come from homes that, Jesus. I just think we forget that these are Jesus' children. These are his babies. And we as adults, we just, I tell you, we fall so short of doing what we should be doing, at least for the babies. But they have stories that will make you cringe. They have stories that will make you weep all day long. They have stories that make you want to adopt them and take them away from where they are. They come up and love on you and hug on you and just reach out to you. And there's so many children who are like little bullies. But it's only because of what's been, emulated in front of them. The examples that they have at home. The fights, the abuse, the drugs, the alcohol. Jesus. Where are we? What are we doing? So my heart is heavy. My heart is also rejoicing because so many gave their lives to Christ. As a young boy, growing up in Hodge, New Mexico, I never could have imagined. I never had an imagination this big to attend a camp like this. All I thought about was basketball camps, but to come to a Christian camp like this and to be ministered to by so many great people, so many great counselors, and so many young people. Oh my gosh. All these college students all over the place just ministering to children and being ministered to as well. I didn't grow up in this kind of culture. No, I didn't. I didn't have this kind of exposure. I couldn't afford it. And of course, I spent most of my time in basketball camps, if you will. But this right here, I think every child should come through this type of environment to have this type of exposure. Let me ask you the question. How big is your imagination? How big is your imagination? Imagination is the act, if you will, or power of forming a mental image of something. Let me give you an example. Well, before I do that, there's this gospel group called Mercy Me, and they sing this song, I Can Only Imagine. I can only imagine what it would be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes would see when your face is before me. I can only imagine when that day comes and I find myself standing in the sun, S-O-N. I can only imagine when all I would do is forever worship you. Now, this place reminds me of that. You're talking about the Ozark. You're talking about just out in the wild, if you will, because there's all type of things living here. I'm telling you, we've met a bunch of them. But this is their habitat, their natural habitat, and we're here. And they are allowing us to fellowship in this beautiful place. You must come here if you've never been here. You must come here. But this camp is just, I tell you, it will make your heart open up, and it will make your imagination open up even more of what God is really calling us to do, especially for the little ones. Have you ever asked the question, how big is God's imagination? You know how big yours is, but how big is your Creator's imagination? Think about it for a moment. It was so big that he created the heavens and the earth. His imagination is so big, he created you and I. And just from imagining us, and then he made it happen. And there's some things we shouldn't mess with because our imagination, let's be for real, whoa, we can be way out there. So let me tell you this. Your imagination without spiritualization is an invitation to frustration, yes, and temptation. That's what it is. I was driving my car the other day, and I was coming from therapy, and I'm just having a good old time, had a great therapy session, and I'm in my own world, just kind of moving forward, thinking of the things I have to do that day. And all of a sudden, I start having these weird thoughts, start having these crazy thoughts. Like, where are they coming from? It all of a sudden just kind of pushing into me these vulgar thoughts, these despicable, repulsive thoughts. I'm saying, oh my Jesus. I mean, my imagination just was running wild. And you know how you just let it run and you don't stop it because you could check it. Let's be for real. You could stop it, but I let it run wild for a moment. And I can't believe some of the things I was thinking. Don't judge me. I mean, come on. You have a crazy imagination too. We all do. Yes, I did condemn myself. And then I remember a word that I've hid in my heart that I might not sin against thee. You see, have some word inside of you. I remember Romans 8:1. Paul tells us there is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. You see, I'm walking after the Spirit, but this flesh is always present too. It's always trying to jump up and put something inside of you that shouldn't be inside of you. Paul is letting us know that just because we're saved, everything won't be peaches and roses. Your thought, your mind will get you. Oh, you think it's your next door neighbor. You think it's some stranger. No, no, no. You can get you too. Because we have what I call we have a crazy imagination at times. Think about Methuselah living to be 969 years old. I mean, what type of imagination did he have? Wow. I mean, 969 years old, he had seen it all. I mean, think about it. He had done it all. I mean, there was nothing new for him to do. I mean, here he is, 500, 600 years old, having children. Wow. 700 years old, still out here in these streets. I mean, Methuselah. Just think about that. How big was Lucifer's imagination to even think that he could dethrone God in heaven? I mean, how crazy was that? You see, your imagination, I tell you, it can get you in trouble. It can be a blessing and a curse at the same time. Depends on how you use it. Can you just think of something and then just turn off and move on about your business? See, that's what you should be doing with most of the stuff that come inside of us. And what about Apostle Paul, imagination? Paul wrote most of the New Testament. And we're talking about Paul, who was willed by God to be an apostle. But Paul makes this statement. He says, the thing that I should do, I do not. And the thing that I should not do, that thing, that wicked thing, that is what I find myself doing. It's Paul. Jesus. When I want to do good, yeah, evil is always, you hear me? Paul said, always present. So this big old imagination that we have, I mean, it's a blessing if you use it wisely. And when you think of millionaires, billionaires, I mean, my heart goes out to them because they've done it all. With all that money, they've done it all. They've seen it all. They've been to every place you can think of. And so they become bored. And like some of us, you don't have to be a billionaire or millionaire, but they become bored. And so they start doing some detestable things. Some of them now, not all of them. They start doing some things that we couldn't even dream of doing. They start flying to other countries with that big imagination they have. They start flying to other countries doing some things that you can't do here. Yes. Some vulgar things. Some things that would just simply blow your mind. So I just pray that if you become a billionaire or millionaire, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Make sure you stay close to God. Stay tethered to God. Because that money, yes, it can't buy you salvation, but it can buy you a whole bunch of sin. I was thinking how glad I was that my wife, my sweetheart, my best friend forever, I was just thinking about how she is not capable of having these nasty, despicable thoughts that I was having as I was driving. I was just so happy. I said, wow, God, thank you for blessing me with such a woman who can't have those thoughts. And then I remember Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22 and 23. I'm just remembering back now. And the Lord is telling man, don't lie with man as you do with woman. It's detestable. And then he tells the man, do not have sexual relations with animals. I'm saying, whoa, where'd that come from? Lord, what are you talking about? Isn't it something? The God has been provoked by us to tell us, hey, Donnie, no, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. And he didn't stop with the man. He tells the woman, women, if you will, don't present yourselves to an animal. That's perversion. I'm saying, whoa, women, come on. Those little sweet angels, wow. They have these kind of thoughts as well. You have to tell women not to do one, two, and oh, Lord Jesus. Are we doomed? I mean, what kind of thoughts do we have inside of these minds? And God says, arrest them. Yes, you have to arrest them. CJ, you have this will to do as you please. And that's where things get kind of scary. In the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verse 3, 5, and 6, I'm going to jump here. We're told by Moses, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man. But that he is also flesh. Yes, he's mortal. Don't get tied up into this flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Yeah. That imagination he has, I can't let him reign on this earth too long, because if I give you too much time, you won't see glory. Verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth. Great. Yes. Not just wicked, no, great in the earth. Wickedness. And that every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And every imagination, every thought of his heart was continually evil, like 24/7, 365 days of the year. I mean, you see these guys, these mass murders, these guys who just can't stop killing people, can't stop doing crazy stuff. It's because evil has them. Verse 6, and he repented, the Lord, that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. Let me tell you something. It's one thing for me to grieve with you when you've lost a loved one, but it's a whole different ball game for me to grieve when I've lost a loved one. That's a heavy, heavy heart. God said he repented. God paused for a moment in the heavens and repented that he had made you and I, because we were just so wicked, being so stupid, if you will, doing some crazy thing, acting out on this imagination that we have, that God blessed us with, to use for righteousness. Your imagination should be used wisely. And men, since this is Father's Month, since you have this big imagination, hey, be the head of your house then. Yes. Start attending the PTA meetings. Give your wife a break. You go. With that big imagination you have, you start going to the principal's office and talking to him about your children. Yeah, start going to the classrooms and looking in and talking with the teachers. You do it. You got a big imagination, then put it to work. Stop using it for not or for evil. You be the one who speaks to the bill collectors when they call. Stop putting your wife and children on the phone. Men, come on, step up. Our precious children, they already have this mega imagination because they're so young and they just see so much coming at them 100 miles per hour. And we were young, we had so many things that we did outside. But now they have so much technology. And so their imagination is so big. And then we have the audacity to place a cell phone, an iPad, a computer in their hands. Yes, these little innocent children whose mind is not mature enough to really grasp what's about to come at them. You just gave them a gateway, if you will, opening it up to an imagination full of evil thoughts, evil things, to pornography. That's what you've done. I know you didn't intentionally mean to, but that's what we've done. And so all the things that they shouldn't be seeing, they're seeing at a very young age. And their minds can't process that. But watch this. You've also opened up a portal for predators to influence your children. That's what you've done. Like I said, unintentionally. I mean, you've got some sick people out here who would take advantage of your loved ones. I mean, some sick individuals with some sick and wild imagination. I told you, I'm full of the Holy Spirit, and I told you I had some wicked thoughts. Think of someone who continually have those thoughts, who are predators, who are trying to find a way to get inside to your children. I mean, you've opened up Pandora's box is what you've done. Your child imagination now is probably 100 times, violated by all the things they've seen and the things they've done. Parents, I'm telling you, your children can't process. They're too immature. The images that you're letting them see is too much for them. It's too great for them. It's polluting them. Yes, there are growing phases and stages that a child's imagination should go from youth to adulthood to young adulthood, if you will. But they've skipped that whole process because of this device you put in their hands. We forfeited their innocence as a child. That's what we've done. Nature messing with me. Christians, this camping experience has been an awesome thing, but this is to me, for every child. Every child. This camping experience leaves an impression, if you will. It gives your child a bigger imagination to realize there's more outside of that four walls in the house where they're just simply on technology. No. This is the real thing. They can see the impossible become impossible. So I just pray, if you've got some children in your neighborhood and you know that they're not being treated right, I pray that you hug on them, that you love on them, that you spend some time, that you be that, if you will, foster relative or that foster individual in the neighborhood. We can all help each other. That's what we should be doing, especially for the little ones. So one thing that's happening here is that children are realizing that when you go home, your problems won't go away. No, you got to go back home to mommy and daddy who has all those problems, all those issues. But now you know how to handle it. Now you know how to go to Jesus. You don't blame yourself. No. Because that's what these children are doing. They're blaming themselves. They've got this imagination that it's all their fault. Wow. I'm telling you, your heart goes up. You're in tears every day because of grown folks' mistake. And then parents, we have this accusatory, if you will, imagination where we just blame our children for everything. We blame them for all of our problems. And the children feel this. That's what we're hearing. They're feeling all of this. So take your accusatory self and you just accuse you and stop abusing your children. But really, stop abusing yourself as well. Apostle Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. That's evil. Casting all wicked evilness, casting it down. That's what our children are learning. They're learning how to cast all that stuff down and out, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. You see, we've lost that. Yeah, we've lost that trait. Nobody wants to be obedient, obey. You got to be kidding me. We've lost that. The children are being taught to be obedient, to fall in line. Yes, to be the best they can be, in spite of all the things that's happening at home in their lives. Still, stand out, stand up. The children here this week were taught how to give their demons, all their issues to Jesus. Not to deal with them physically or verbally, because these children like to fight a lot, some of them. I'm telling you now, give your demons to Jesus. Be better for you. Be better for your family. Do you have an imagination that's more tied to your flesh? Or do you have an imagination that's more tied to your spirit? That's a big question. Have you ever imagined yourself being saved? Have you ever imagined yourself being delivered? It can happen. It's possible. Have you ever imagined yourself witnessing to your family, your entire family, all of them, and they all giving their lives to Jesus Christ and being saved and safe? See, that's the stuff we should be imagining. All the cars and clothes and all the stuff we want to get involved, the jewelry and the trips and all that crazy stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong. Go out and have a blast in life. But your imagination has to be bigger than the stuff that God can give you and can bless you with. It's got to be about this salvation. It's got to be about restoration. It's got to be about, bringing someone to Christ. It's got to be about what fruit do you have that's following you? Who are you witnessing to? Who are you testifying to? Who are you drawing because of your lifestyle? See, that's a bigger reward. That's the type of imagination we all should have. There's one where people are asking, what's that inside of you? You just seem so different. So you just tell them, I got a big old imagination, man. My God is so big. We've made God so small in our world. And so the world outside of us see him as small as well. Let's illuminate God this week. Fathers, man. This is Father's Month. Yes, I call it Father's Month. Use that big imagination. Yes. To confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord. Use that imagination to believe that God has raised him from the dead. Yeah. Use that imagination wisely. Yeah. Father's Month. Come on, man. Stand up. Support me. Yes. Take control of those things that you can take control of. And let God handle the rest. And you'll be blessed. And have a great week.